Hey guys, it's Ryan, and this isn't the real intro for the video. Well, it is, but it's more of a preamble for the real video. I just wanted to quickly jump in and talk about the timing of this video's release. So, the day of writing this, the 31st of May, Corvus Belli did a bit of a surprising studio update since it was done on a Wednesday rather than a Monday, and an hour and a bit later than usual. We got the July releases, which are great, but they also spend the last 4 minutes talking about the fluff behind the upcoming reinforcements update, and specifically the Equipi Argent team, the Ariadna reinforcement faction. Carlos doesn't explain it in great detail, but he talks about what this team does and who interacts with it. He also said basically wait until the theme week for all of the rules. He does, however, despite this, put out some rough ideas and mentions how it's an additional combat group and how it isn't just a set box to buy and that's your lot. There seems to be a list building element to it and it has some depth for the meta, which is really nice to hear. I do recommend watching it if you haven't already. So yeah, keep all this in mind as you watch the video. I wrote this and recorded it a few weeks ago before this update, and I've had to take down the video and re-upload it to include this preamble. Regardless, it sounds like it's going to be a big shift and I'm looking forward to it. So let's get on to the video and have a good time. Hey guys, and welcome to something a bit different. So a few weeks ago, I put a poll together. Yes, I know it takes me a while to get a video sorted, and you lot voted that you'd be willing to hear some ENDSONG speculation. And well, this is it. This video is going to talk about what I think is going to be part of the new lore book, the factions involved, and what I think is going to be part of the reinforcement update, which will be the rules portion of this. This is like how the Fireteam update accompanied the Morats rework and the Raveneye book release. If you're not down for rampant speculation or any spoilers from any leaks, then you're more than welcome to go and find another one of my videos to watch. There was a lot of people who don't like these types of videos, and that's completely fair. Don't let me ruin the hobby for you. If you're wanting to watch a video, I do have some good few playlists for Military Orders, Caledonia and Cosmoflot. So if you're here for the rampant speculation, let's begin. So the last book first, so we know what I'm working with. Raveneye. Well, in the run up to release we got the name and some details about what was going to be in the book, and the faction has evolved. And well, oh boy, we got a good lore book. Military Order done a last stand for the history books. Corregidor nearly died and got an Alamo to rally around. Morats are back and angry, and Cosmoflot is less poor now. So now for speculation for ENDSONG. So what do we have? Well, we have a name, ENDSONG, and a faction returning, the Extra, who is described as Combined Army's naval force, and the recent lore being primarily focused on naval warfare and boarding actions within Thunderclap and Raveneye. So I think we have a little less info than last time, but we still have a basis for some conjecture. So who's involved, I think? Well, Combined Army, obviously, both Extra and I think some maybe stuff from Dergama. Mostly this will be, here is the lore write-up of the results, and Combined Army needs more Navy as of Thunderclamp. Corregidor is pissed, Starmada is in a renaissance, and even now the Bears have battle boats. Who else? Well, usually it's those who have had recent releases. So Hassassin's Baram, Steel Phalanx, Bakunin, and the NA2 with Spyrocord, Deshat, and JSA maybe. Hassassin's Baram, I think, is going to be talking about the fallout from Operation Blackwind and maybe its strained tensions with Aleph behind the scenes. We're going to see more lore on Hassassin's Baram as a whole now as the Man in the Mountain is preparing his focuses and his forces of Baroque for Combined Army even more, or trying to set up Hack's standing better within the human sphere. Steel Phalanx, similar, is going to be dealing with a lot of the fallout of Operation Blackwind and the losses of some of its forces with Thunderclap. I think slowly it's going to get rebuilt and become Aleph's true assault sectorial and primary army of Aleph rather than just some propaganda army that does Black Ops. I think we may hear more about the friction between O12 and Bureau Toff for its anti-AI capabilities. Bakunin, I think, will have a lot of lore covering how Observance took over the ship's defense and how the events of the reworks took place. I also believe there's going to be the ones who are going to be scuffling with the Extra Navy. So now the big story of ENDSONG. Well, first, what do I think ENDSONG is going to be? Well, I'll get to that in a second. So I think it starts with the Bakunin mothership jumping into Concilium shortly, before or after Thunderclap, maybe because of Corregidor already got attacked at Raveneye and they wanted to come in to support, maybe even with the Observance's aid. In this, I think Bakunin will be assaulted by a surprise extra action. Corregidor will maybe make a fighting withdrawal on behalf of Bakunin, and they will slowly but surely repulse Extra with the help of the Nuns Coordination, Starmada, Corregidor, and Hack Vessels, and surprisingly, the forces of Steel Phalanx. Now Hector, and of course Aleph, is savvy, and losing a few million people in Bakunin is ultimately a bad thing, even if Aleph doesn't like them. But Aleph at least values them above Combined Army. So self-preservation and some arbiterative bodies of the Nomad nations are worth using against Combined Army, so let's not waste a mothership that could be better utilised later on to die in much more favourable terms for Aleph. Bakunin, now survived the extra attack, is fuming for a few different reasons. The people rally together to prepare for any additional waves. High Command is enraged that Aleph got involved and saved them, since Aleph is both heresy, controlling and evil. Delete is appropriate. Anyway, this just kind of knocks Extra back, and now they are firmly back in the picture, and the blockade is now firmly struggling, potentially about to collapse. The man in the mountain, the leader of Assassins Baram, who hears all this, is going to put a plan forward to his agents. Extra and the Cerberus blockade cannot be allowed to continue. As such, he puts his agents to put out his ENDSONG, a masterful symphony to end the Cerberus blockade and the siege of Concilium. This will have been in the works for a while, but the timetable must be accelerated, and all agents must pull their weight. Fides will try to take any Combined Army ships and any human spear road bumps. Any suspected Combined Army plants or speculate agents need to die. This won't make them popular, but a message needs to be sent. Quiet or loud, it doesn't matter. Combined Army is a disease to be plucked, and the ground it festered in cleaned. Steel Phalanx and Bakunin ships, here with the assistance of the Free Starmada, Cosmoflot and Haqqislam Mercantile Fleet, will lead the assault on the Extras. I think here we'll see a human sphere decisive victory in the immediate space around Raveneye, ending the Dragama offensive, and see Morats either return to space in a fighting withdrawal or be blocked by two very angry Nomad motherships. Thanks to Haqqislam's far-reaching Merc influence, we'll see action from Spiral Corps, O12, the JSA, and led by Deshat and McMurray himself, revealing him to be a Assassin's agent desperate for a cure to his perpetual dog-facedness. Hence why he's in Assassin's Baram now. This will crumble the ground assault in Dargama, forcing the Morats to fight only a scattered guerrilla campaign. In space, the Extras fleet will be pushed back but not meaningfully damaged. The less experienced navies of the Morats and Shavasti be the ones that take the big damage here. Fortunately, the blockade will hold, as will the siege of Concilium, but the tempo will be severely turned in humanity's favour. We may even get rumblings of a fourth Paradiso offensive, but who knows who's going to make the first move. It's really not clear. So yeah, to recap. Extra will make a grand entrance, attacking the newly devout Bakunin, who repels them. We'll get some sweet Myrmidon or Morat action. Assassin's Baram fights Dogley and makes some loud assassinations, and we may even get some samurai versus alien action. A good romp, story advancements, and maybe even a little win for humanity. So there is some lore advancement with ENDSONG, and then there seems to be some sort of rule changes coming with reinforcements. In this graphic here from the Adepticon Studio update, we see that it said that there are new rules and new units, so I think that's the bare minimum we're going to get here. I think there will broadly be like N3 human sphere, so we'll see new rules doled out across factions and some new and updated profiles. However, the specifics are completely not there, so I have a few ideas on how this is going to break down, and I'll discuss each one and how likely I think it will be. So, the first idea that was batted around was new units for every faction. Kinda like the Raveneye officer, but more like orcs and faction exclusive heavy infantry. The idea would be more of this style of unit to bolster faction identity and strengths. This will help more factions get up to like 20 odd units, like I've mentioned it in my Caledonia redone video, check the card. Although, instead of more orcs and Jans, more units like the Sharko, Cenobites or Trins, units added as part of the update to factions that really need it, such as assault units in Verd, expensive 60 plus point models in Haqqislam, and how far reaching this will be is obviously unknown, but if it was this route, it would be a solid addition to many sectorials that need it, but aren't candidate for solo or versus boxes. I rate the likeliness of this of about 4 out of 5, as Corvus Belli is still a model company, and they want to sell us more models. So the next idea is cross-faction pollination of models, so kind of similar to the first one, but basically all the OOP sectorial stuff that's still being sold could be added to factions as a sort of newish unit. For example, we'll maybe see a Swiss or a Kawila Guard in Verd, Svalharema or military orders, we'll see Galwegians and Chashurs in Usarf and Cosmoflot, extra in all of the Combined Army sectorials, although I'm kind of doubtful of this as Corvus Belli have been moving to more strongly themed sectorials. This could also include adding more knights to things like Verge, more Imperial Army to ISS and vice versa. TAC and Cosmoflot might show up to the dismay of the Continental Ariadno forces and vice versa. The idea is there. It doesn't always work because Nomads, Ariadna and Combined Army exist, as they're not always conflict or friction free between the sectorials, and their vanillas is usually some sort of joint operation with a lot of pressure from somewhere else to make it worth it. There are reasons for more cross-pollination of units, but it's going to be odd in some cases. I rate this as a solid 3.5 out of 5. We'll get some more new old units together and get some more usage of the existing SKUs. So this was a suggestion someone threw out when we were talking about reinforcements, since we didn't really know what extra would fit into Combined Army. Are they going to join Onyx, Morats, or Shavasti? Or are they new sectorial? We'll talk about that option in a second. No, but what if these reinforcements are a Soldiers of Fortune style selection of units spread amongst the sectorials to be picked from? So say we have the new Knights of Calatrava, a bunch of Earth Bastion army to assist Pan-Oceania. Eugene gets some Red Banner army or some new Imperial High Echelon units to help out. Now these could be optional like Soldiers of Fortune, but could be more like a separate unit category in army, or mixed in just repeating amongst factions, kind of like Doctors and Robots. I rate this a solid 3.5 out of 5 for likeliness, as more units that have solid use cases for multiple armies will be solid sellers for Corvus Belli. So this is a spoiler from some dev leaks, so if you don't want to hear about it, this is the last theory. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to like and subscribe the video if you want to hear more. However, if you are here for it, around the 11th of April, yes, this is being released in the middle of June, I have a long lead time on videos, someone noticed that there were 3 new factions in the metadata for Infinity's army. The Department Commissary of the Extra, or the WCD, something we knew was coming but not in what form in his previous mentions of lore. The CRM, which I think means Reinforcement Team Silver or something, which is completely out of left field. And finally, the Code Support, Neoterra Support Force. Now these 3 were under the sectorial bit of the metadata, but they didn't have a proper parent ID. Now, this could be dev testing. I've done my fair share of it in my day job, but it could suggest we're getting 3 new sectorials at least, for Pan-Oceania, Ariadna, and Combined Army. Which is odd, as these 3 factions have the most sectorials, so why would they get more? This could be a redone NCA and Murph with a name change. An extra could be a redone sectorial or a new Combined Army one. If these are just new but similar to the old ones, then I guess it means Vert, TAC, USARF and or Onyx might be going out of production, but this is all speculations. There are a couple things to note though. This apparently has happened before for the Come Biker Khanate sectorial, but instead it was Ramekin Task Force that was launched. So again, this could be dev testing for new features that somehow made it into release version and thus was never accurate to begin with. I know I have my fair share of entity calls Tester McTesterson, or 100% real police ports or something. So yeah, this could be 3 new sectorials, but I also think it's important to note the names are a little odd. They're not entirely combat forces sounding, are they? A support force, a war contract department, and a reinforcement team. Not an army among them. These don't sound like full factions, and Infinity has enough half factions in Ariadna alone. So maybe they're not sectorials, or sectorials as we know it, just purely based on the names. I mean, again, looking at the existing armies in the game, all but 4 or 5 sound like armies or mercenary companies. Even the ones that don't still sound military adjacent, with task force, roles like Grenadine, or real militaries just not a name. I think this is getting a bit off the wall here since I'm trying to divine Corvus Belli's plans from just names. But overall I rate this a 4 out of 5 only because of the dev leaks. So thanks for watching this different video. I probably won't do much more speculation videos in the future, and this is likely a one-off purely because I don't want to be one of those hype YouTubers. I want it to remain my chill hobby, but at the same time I kind of love random speculation. I gotta have a balance here though. Anyway, if you like my video, remember to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.